Good morning. Here we are, Wondrous Roots. Another Wondrous Roots, your health from the ground up. My name is Rebecca Becky Montrone. Have a practice here in Keene called Wondrous Roots. And here we do all kinds of things with regard to natural health, to health from working with people when it comes to their health issues, your health issues. Many of you are my clients, my personal clients, and I'm so grateful for that, grateful to know you. Also, dreaming up and thinking up different formulas, different things. What can we do for instance, right now I'm working on a fig salve. I'm calling it Fig Plus because I had a fig salve that I worked with to. I had read that a study that Turkish figs, did the study in Turkey, and they found out that Turkish figs were more a cream made from an extract of Turkish figs, excuse me, was more effective than steroid creams for children's contact dermatitis or atopic dermatitis. So we're talking eczema or we're talking rashes, eczema, psoriasis, but it was better relief or at least comparable with. So I made a fig salve and haven't done much with it until recently. I had made a bunch and I didn't have it on my shelf to sell. I didn't have my website to sell. I wasn't sure, didn't really like the consistency because it was rather oily. But I recently just gave it away to people with those problems, and everyone came back saying, wow, that was really helpful. So now I've decided to ramp it up and use other things. Just got tuned into papaya and the use of papaya on the skin, but a bunch of other plants that we'll be extracting. And then I'm going to make a cream with it instead of a salve, so it's not as oily. So that's the kind of thing I love to do. So my mind is always going towards, what's the problem? What can we do to fix it? And as many of you know, my late father, George Wrench, was a compounding pharmacist, really quite renowned. And that's what we do when we have our genetic material within our brains. That's what we like to do. So you have things that you like to do because of your genetic material and the way you're put together. And it's really just a pleasure to be able to do that. So anyway, we are located at 103 Roxbury Street in downtown Keene, New Hampshire. We are in the historic Miller Forge building, which is right off Central Square on Roxbury Street on the third floor. Our open hours are 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And you can reach us here at 603-439-2603. You can also reach out to me at wondrousroots.org. Go to contact us and I will get right back to you. I will get back to you. Those messages come to my private email and no one else ever sees them. Maybe you're listening to me and you've picked up on our YouTube channel and you're not familiar with Wondrous Roots. So I invite you to go to wondrousroots.org. There you can find out all about us. And yeah, I'm glad to have you with us. So today is a little bit different. This is my normal Saturday program, which I do at noon as a continuation of a radio program I was doing for 8 years here in Keene, a local radio program. And people became used to hearing this at noon on Saturdays. So what's really kind of great now, doing the Zoom webinars and then, doing it this way, is that I can pre-record it, and I'm not going to be available this coming Saturday. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm excited about today's topic. Today is talking about, my thing says prebiotics, probiotics, and Sac Bou. Last time I talked about lectins, oxalates, and nightshade vegetables. These are topics in the natural health world, which if you're listening, you're into that world. People are confused about good foods, things like peppers, tomatoes, legumes, onions. Oh gosh, getting into and grains, things like that, that are loaded with nutrients and are generally good foods, and yet some are high in oxalates, some are what we call nightshades, so they are high in solanine, and then some are high in lectins. And so sometimes people have problems with these foods, especially if they're not properly prepared, but most times we prepare them properly because they're pretty unedible, a lot of them if they're not. And they've been implicated in some arenas with, like, such as Dr. Gundry's The Plant Paradox book, with inciting or stimulating autoimmune illnesses, inflammatory things like that. So anyway, I'm not going to go into that again because I already did that. But another topic of confusion is we hear a lot about the microbiome today, the gut health. We hear a lot about probiotics, and we've all been familiar with probiotics for years and years and years, and that's great. But now we hear a lot about prebiotics. And so I have a lot of people coming into our shop. What is this about prebiotics? What's the difference? Prebiotics, probiotics. And then I'll have people coming in saying, I'm going on an antibiotic course of antibiotics, or my doctor just put me on antibiotics and I want a probiotic. What do I use? When that happens, I always put people on Sac Bou. Sac Bou is short for Saccharomyces boulardii, and you can see why you want to call it by a cute little nickname, because that's Saccharomyces boulardii. It's kind of fun to say once or twice, kind of rolls off my tongue now, but I would say Sac Bou. It's just kind of fun. And I recently had, because of a dental issue, I recently was on a course of antibiotics, the first time in, I want to say 30 years, easy. And I took a Sac Bou with each and every dose. And the thing I'm going to tell you about Sac Bou, I'm telling you now, is that it is a probiotic that's grown on, it's yeast based. And so it doesn't cause yeast, but it's yeast based. It's not bacteria based. And so it's ideal for somebody on antibiotic therapy because it does not interfere with the antibiotic function or action or efficiency. It doesn't get in the way of that like a normal probiotic could. So they'll say, don't take your probiotics till you're done the course. Well, you don't want to do that because meanwhile, you've been miserable throughout the whole course and you're destroying your gut. And you don't want to have to figure out, well, I took my antibiotic at this hour, I'm going to try to take my probiotic then. No. Sac Bou, you don't have to think about it. Each time you take a dose, you take one. Sac Bou. And I will say during my 7-day course, I had no GI upset. I would never have known I was on an antibiotic. And I think that is really fantastic. So just be aware of that. It's also the one that we use if people end up with, you might know somebody, or maybe you've, had this dreaded condition yourself, but that would be Clostridium difficile, otherwise known as C. diff. This is a very bad intestinal infection that can come with the imbalanced flora from antibiotic use, particularly the really strong antibiotics. And I'm thinking things like clindamycin or the fluoroquinolone, such as Cipro, or Levaquin, things like that are fluoride based. And these can have real repercussions in the gut, very, very, very serious. So the Sac Bou is what you do for that. And when somebody actually has C. diff, that's what I recommend to them. Actually had a young couple call me last year. They were just in, I'm mentioning it again. Oh, this was probably last year, but their toddler had C. diff. And I'm not saying like I'm so much better than the clinic, but at the clinic, they really had no remedy for this child, whatever they tried, and they didn't. And so Anyway, this couple, asked me about it. We got the child on Sac Bou, and it worked. So yeah, if C. diff is one of those infections that um, it can travel rapidly through like a nursing home or a hospital. And it can go on for months and months and months. I actually had a woman who had biliary duct, bile duct cancer. And when she had come to see me, it was after she had the cancer and that was over. But reviewing her history, she had been treated for a dental thing with clindamycin, and she got horrible C. diff infection that went on for months and months and months. And in my research, working with her, because I'm always, as you know, ever curious, I found that C. diff sequesters bile salts to feed itself. And I really think that the long protracted period of C. difficile infection was the forerunner and cause of that biliary duct cancer. So you can't let these things go. That's why I love Sac Bou. So anyway, let me just go here. I want to say here another confusing topic, but I just said that, so I'm not going to go into that. And I just talked about Sac Bou. When you see this on YouTube, it will be after the fact because I'm pre-recording this. You will be able to get my newsletter. So those of you who subscribe to my newsletter, get this in your email. That's how you're going to get the direct link to this video in the first place. Although if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you'll get a notification as well. On the YouTube channel, you're not going to see a link to the to this newsletter. So once I publish it, it will be up on my website. So that's wondrousfoods.org. Go to podcasts and you will see the top one. You can go and you will see the newsletter connected to this video, and you can follow along, or later on you can go and look at it, because I have this one chock full. I usually always do, but I have this one particularly chock full of information. So let's go. What is the microbiome? So I liked this description because I thought this is really kind of user-friendly, and I'm talking about me. Picture a bustling city on a weekday morning, the sidewalks flooded with people rushing to get to work or to appointments. That's what we're kind of at right now, because I'm doing this before we open up this morning. It's Thursday morning, actually. Now imagine that at a microscopic level, this is at a microscopic level, and you have an idea of what the microbiome looks like inside our bodies. Consisting, okay, so they said on a weekday morning, the sidewalks flooded with people rushing to get to work or to appointments. Now imagine this at a microscopic level. And you have an idea of what the microbiome looks like inside our bodies, consisting of trillions of microorganisms, also called microbiota or microbes, of thousands of different species. It's kind of creepy when you think about it. Who knew? Yeah, I don't know all this is going on inside my body right now, but it is. These include not only bacteria, but fungi, parasites, and viruses. In a healthy person, these bugs coexist peacefully, with the largest numbers found in the small and large intestines, but also throughout the body. The microbiome is even labeled a supporting organ because it plays so many key roles in promoting the smooth daily operations of the human body. That's really fascinating. And I would like to go back to that reference to parasites, because parasites must be all over the I don't know, the feeds that people get right now, because people are calling me all the time. I think I might have a parasite. I think I have a parasite. What do I do? I think I might have parasites. They say we all have parasites. Well, we do all have parasites, right? But they're supposed to be kept in check. So not all parasites need to go. Maybe that is another confusing topic for another time, right? I think you would agree. But if, just to think, well, they say everybody has parasites, so that's bad. We all have fungi, we all have viruses, we all have bacteria, and they coexist in the body just balances and takes care of them until something comes along and disrupts it, right? And that's when we can be in trouble. So then another good description here, the microbiome is made up of a collection of microorganisms that inhibit the alimentary canal. So what is that? That's like from your mouth straight down to the toilet. So that's the whole stream, that whole tract that just starts here and it just keeps going. It never ever stops until you are the process of elimination. That's why sometimes people with Crohn's disease will end up with ulcers in the mouth, because it's all the same material. That's the alimentary canal. The microbiome functions best when there is a balance of both good and pathogenic bacteria. When the microbiome experiences an imbalance of microorganisms, autoimmune diseases such as diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, and fibromyalgia may develop. So right there, we get a view of how important the microbiome is to our health, because those are illnesses and disease conditions that we see running rampant these days. And hang on with me, I'm going to close my vent if I can, because the air might be interrupting making it harder to hear me. I'm not sure. I shall return. Still here. It's not dead there. I'm back. Yes, that worked. All right. At least it's better for me. Now, the function of the gut. The gut is considered to be the second brain, as a large part of our mental health is dependent on how our gut functions. So do you see? The microbiome is central. It is, if the gut is off, and in so many people today, the gut is off, things are out of whack. For example, the happy chemicals of the brain, serotonin and dopamine, are produced in the gut. We think those are produced in the brain, right? Because they're neurotransmitters. So we think, okay, this is all about the brain, but think about the gut-brain connection. This is it. Out of serotonin and dopamine, okay, so those are neurotransmitters that boost mood. Out of these two, almost 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut, and researchers are pointing to almost 50% of dopamine to also be produced in the gut. So these are responsible for a happy demeanor. And in my newsletter there, you can see I have C-Source. You can click and read those papers. So prebiotics and probiotics, what's the difference? So probiotics are live microorganisms, bacteria or yeast, available as food supplements and in certain foods containing live cultures, such as yogurt, coconut water, kefir, aged cheese, kombucha, pickles, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso. Probiotics may support the treatment of diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, certain intestinal infections, prevent or reduce the severity of colds and flu, or aid digestion. Prebiotics, on the other hand, are non-living, non-digestible by human ingredient carbohydrates, serve as food for friendly bacteria within the gut. So the prebiotics feed your probiotics. That's kind of, in a nutshell, what you want to know. We make our own probiotics if we have the right diet, if we have the right things. And now I'm not talking about the probiotic foods, because those are great. You know, I eat my homemade yogurt every single day, at least once. Do other fermented foods just because I love them. But those are not prebiotic foods. Prebiotic foods are those that now feed your hungry probiotics in your gut. So they need food in order to maintain, be strong, be healthy, be a great defense for you. And that comes through the prebiotic from you making these. Now, you can, of course, take probiotic supplements and just keep gulping them down and adding more probiotics. But don't you think it's a lot more, it makes a lot of sense to be sure that you're getting prebiotics on a regular basis in order to make your, and there's good news about that for carb lovers, and I'm going to be getting to that in a short while. Okay, so they serve as food for friendly bacteria within the gut. Available as food supplements and naturally occurring in certain foods such as chicory root, Jerusalem artichoke, onion, leek, garlic, carrots, and dandelion. There's others too. We'll get to more of those, but let me talk about a couple of them. I don't know if you've ever cooked with sunchokes. I've read something, I don't know, I think I even did mention them in a radio program or something years ago, that about their health benefits, right? So I found some and I got some. Wow, the gas was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if Beano works for that, but you do not want to eat sunchokes. I would love to hear your stories of sunchoke, eating sunchokes, because I told myself I will never, ever eat a sunchoke again, but it doesn't matter, right? Because there's other prebiotic foods to choose from. One I really love is chicory. So when I was preparing for this, starting to prepare for this about a week or so ago, I was thinking about the prebiotic foods and I read about chicory. So chicory is a plant and it's often used, if you're familiar with it, it's used oftentimes as a coffee substitute. The tastes are super similar. And but chicory is a very powerful prebiotic. So I recently purchased, oh gosh, I wish I had it in here. I almost feel like I should run out there and grab it. But anyway, in my newsletter, you'll see it. I bought them on Amazon. I bought the one with dandelion and the raspberry one. And you can do the same thing. I don't carry them here, but I have a set at home and I have some here. Really delicious, very satisfying, very hearty, tastes very much like coffee. I still drink coffee, but that's not really the point for chicory for me. It's not a coffee substitute. It is another lovely drink that has great health properties. So anyway, that's really great. Onion, leek, carrot, garlic, carrots, and dandelion, but there's lots of others too. We'll get into that. So prebiotics aid digestion and may support the treatment of several chronic digestive disorders or inflammatory bowel disease. So right there, if you are a person who has those issues, these are foods to look at, to take a good look and start to incorporate into your diet on a daily basis. So that's the thing. If you're going to want to make a change using food, you have to do it regularly, and that means daily. So it's not hard. There's a lot of foods and you can just make sure you're getting them. Otherwise, you can get a really nice, you can get supplements that work very well as well. Maybe even just to fill in the gaps when you're not doing that. But if you've got IBS, if you have irritable bowel, if you have any of the digestive order things, leaky gut, that's another big one, but that's pertains to all of this. So the leaky gut is when things are all off and the little spaces, the little junctions in the intestinal wall are too large, and molecules that are too large to be in your bloodstream get into your bloodstream, and then that's how food sensitivities and things like that happen. So let's say, so there's a nice piece there by Amy Myers, Dr. Amy Myers. A lot of you probably are familiar with her, especially if you've been into investigating things like the autoimmune diet, the anti-inflammatory diets, those kinds of things. She's a big name on that. She's a very reputable source of information. But she says prebiotics are essential. I just kind of told you what the differences are. So Probiotic versus prebiotic. I talked about that. So I think probiotics support your immune system. So this is another thing that's really important to hone in on. 80% of your immune system is in your gut. But he's worried about the latest thing that's floating around. Am I going to get sick? Here comes the cold and flu season. And here we have concerns about another, uptick in whatever cases of whatever. 80% of your immune system is in your gut. A properly functioning digestive system is critical to good health, and probiotics support your gut health, in turn promoting a healthy immune system response. So here we go. It's all foundational. I guess you could say the gut is like one of the major wondrous roots of the immune system, of all of health, as we talk about it today. So probiotics also support vaginal wellness, women who are prone to yeast infections, things like that. Lactobacillus is one that's great for the influencing the vaginal bacteria, which produces lactic acid and hydrogen peroxide, which supports your vagina in maintaining an acidic pH level, which helps you fight bacterial infections such as bacterial vaginosis. Yeah, and that's really good to know. So a lot of times if women have vaginal or recurrent vaginal infections, I often will recommend a borax suppository. And that the purpose of that is to change the pH, alter the pH back to that acidic pH. A lot of times what happens when a woman has her period is that the pH of the vaginal tract is changed. And so you can end up with a vaginal infection following that. You can also, a big tip off on that, not to be too graphic here, but is odor. And the way to get that back is to get the pH back. That's just a sign that your pH is way off, right? So that's why you'll find on the market, you'll find certain probiotics that are for women and for that area of the body. Also can influence urinary tract infection, right? Because everything's down there in the same area, and they like to share. So keeping that pH right, that's really important. Probiotics promote regular bowel movements. So regular bowel movements are essential to optimal health because your body expels toxins and waste products to remain balanced. Taking a probiotic softens the stool to help it get through the colon with ease. As an added benefit, becoming more regular can also help you lower your blood pressure, as constipation can raise it. Think about that. Think about the connection. See, that again is how holistic medicine looks at things. Holistic health looks at things different than the mainstream model of allopathic medicine, which is looking at constipation is one thing, blood pressure is something entirely different. So this is the fun, if you will, of putting the pieces together, putting the puzzle pieces in the right places and going, wow, that's how I can be healthy. That's how I can thrive. Probiotics help the bowel transit time. Probiotics impact how long waste remains in your body. Generally, a too short transit time means your digestive system has not had the opportunity to absorb as much water and nutrients as it should. This can result in diarrhea or loose stools, dehydration, nutritional deficiencies. Too long transit time means your digestive system has trouble eliminating waste, resulting in constipation. So you want it. The answer to both problems is the same, right? To get that gut microbiome in check, in balance. Oh, she says, remember, good bacteria keep harmful bacteria in check. Probiotics restore the balance in your gut and keep it functioning correctly. In cases of a diet full of processed food, toxin exposure, or antibiotic use, when a prebiotic is essential. So prebiotics, she goes into this and she says, prebiotics are specialized plant fibers that serve as food to promote the growth of good bacteria in the gut. Then probiotics are living strains of bacteria that add to the population of good bacteria in your gut microbiome. Prebiotics stimulate growth of beneficial microorganisms. Probiotics promote gut balance. So here you've got, again, stimulating the growth of the probiotics. The prebiotics do, which is why they're pre, and then promoting gut balance. Prebiotics may reduce markers of inflammation. Probiotics support your immune system. Prebiotics and probiotics promote regular bowel movements. Prebiotics and probiotics help bowel transit time. Prebiotics may reduce your appetite cravings. They stick with you. They stick with you. We're going to be talking about one that I really like. Oh, and wait till you hear the good news about you carb loaders. Wait till you hear the good news. I have good news. Supports probiotics support vaginal wellness. We just talked about. Prebiotics may help reduce body fat, and probiotics promote optimal weight. So we've talked about prebiotics, what they are. Here are some more benefits of prebiotics. Supports digestive health, reduce the risk of autoimmune disease, reduce the risk of gut infections, supports a healthy immune system, promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates healthy cholesterol levels, boosts a healthy metabolism, and supports weight loss. Now she has a list here, and I've got other lists on my newsletter. I'll probably go to that one too a little bit. Apples. So apples, how easy we're in apple season right now. You know the old saying, apple a day keeps the doctor away. There's truth to those famous words. Apples are a great source of dietary fiber and so rich in antioxidants, polyphenols, and pectin that eating one or more a day can improve your digestive health, boost your metabolism, support healthy cholesterol levels, and promote an immune system response. Keep the skin on. So eat organic, right? And keep the skin on. Asparagus, another very popular, very tasty food. Eating asparagus promotes friendly gut bacteria, can help reduce inflammation, is rich, excuse me, I'm going to close my window because this is Thursday morning. Sorry about that. Eating asparagus promotes friendly gut bacteria, can help reduce inflammation, is rich in antioxidants, and has even been linked to preventing certain forms of liver cancer. Asparagus can be steamed as a side dish or as part of a salad. Bananas. So this is a great one, especially if they're on the green side. Bananas are high in fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and are easy to find year-round. Slightly unripe bananas have potent effects as a prebiotic food source. They can increase good gut bacteria, reduce bloating, and improve muscle relaxation due to their high potassium content. So it says here, bananas are both high in carbs and sugar. So if you're battling SIBO or avoiding carbs, eat sparingly. Well, whatever. Chicory root, just talking about that, has a distinctive coffee-like flavor. When prepared as tea, it is a wonderful alternative coffee that can be particularly helpful to those trying to quit caffeine. Chicory root is a fantastic prebiotic food source that stimulates the growth of good bacteria while suppressing bad bacteria. There you go. Boom. And it tastes great. I was actually working on finishing up my newsletter late at night last night, and went out, fixed myself a cup of chicory chicory beverage, which I added whole milk to that. It's really good. They often recommend heavy cream or half and half. I like the flavor of whole milk. Really good. And it would be fine black. But anyway, I was just enjoying that. And as I was typing about it, it's okay. In addition, chicory can improve digestion, relieve constipation, prevent the early onset of diabetes, and aid in detoxification by supporting liver function. Again, chicory root is a plant medicine. Dandelion greens are excellent prebiotic foods and a great source of fiber and antioxidants. They support digestion and your immune system while facilitating an immune system response and healthy cholesterol levels. Again, We're not talking about superimposed lowering cholesterol. That's not a good thing to do. We're talking about balancing lipids naturally, just making sure that your lipid balance is where it should be with your cholesterol, your HDL, your LDL, and your triglycerides. Garlic, okay, is an herb with a long tradition of medicinal use due partly to its potent antimicrobial benefits. This prebiotic food can aid your digestion and help prevent gastrointestinal diseases. And doesn't this just like speak to, again, I mentioned this many times, our normal traditional cuisines, how medicinal they actually are if we employ them in our diet. I mean, there's just so much getting away from that, not in people like us, because we're nutrition minded and we take more thought probably than the general public when it comes to what we put in our mouths and think about nutrition when it comes to what we're eating. But going back to whole foods, that's why people will ask me, Becky, what diet do you, I'm like, a whole food diet, get rid of the processed food as much as possible. Excess sugar, right? But it doesn't have to be like some really strict restricted thing for most people, unless you have a certain issue like celiac disease or something like that. But eat whole foods, eat variety. Garlic. Jerusalem artichoke, I told you about that, and I'm just warning you. Just be careful, get some Beano before you do this one. It's known as the earth apple. Despite its name, this prebiotic food is not related to globe artichoke. Like it's not related to the ones that we like to peel the things off and dip them in butter. It's a species of sunflower with a delicious edible tuber. It is tasty. Oh, let me tell you, but you will pay. Jerusalem artichokes are rich in potassium, thiamine, and fiber. They support brain health and your immune system, facilitate healthy blood glucose levels, and promote muscle function. Then jicama root. So that's one that is really lovely raw on salads and stuff. And I've got to go back to incorporating that more into my diet. It's one of those things you use. You read a recipe and it's got jicama in it. You're like, wow, that's really good. Well, this is me speaking, and then I forget about it. It's a Mexican tuber. It's crunchy, light, low in calories. Many people describe the taste as a combination between a potato and an apple. Exactly. Jicama is rich in prebiotic fiber, vitamin C, and amino acids. It's excellent for supporting digestion, blood glucose levels, and your immune system. Leeks, I love leeks. Leeks are in the same family as garlic and onions and offer similar health benefits. This prebiotic food source is rich in camphorol, a free radical scavenger that limits damage from oxidative stress. Camphorol, very interesting. I'm working with a woman with a very difficult cancer. I guess you would say cancer is difficult, but this is a particularly difficult one. And in the light of a BRAF mutation. So that makes things all the harder, but more challenging. But one of the things that works in a pathway that needs to be anyway is camphorol. And so leeks are a source of camphorol. And I tried to find a camphorol supplement to use with her. And I could not find anything that was, I found like a 30-day supply shipped from somewhere in Europe for like $2,000. So forget that. But anyway, leeks, camphorol is very important. And camphorol is really good for us. Onions, but who knew? You just think you're cooking and you're eating. You just think, you're making a nice meal and you didn't know what you're getting there. Onions are versatile, nutrient dense, and rich in prebiotics, antioxidants, and flavonoids. They're great for supporting gut health, facilitating an immune system response, promoting heart health. So anyway, want to go back on this one to get off that. So 20 probiotic foods with good bacteria. But let's because I got about 15 or so minutes left. I want to go to these recipes, and a lot of you tell me you love the recipes that I include, and I love to cook. I love to find things and do things, and one of the things I learned, so I love oatmeal. I use steel cut oats, but if you do overnight oats with, and don't cook them, right? You put them in a jar. A lot of you are probably familiar with this whole technique, and put them with other stuff. They process, and they're great, and they're much more prebiotic in this state than they are when you cook them. Not that they're not of any value in a prebiotic way if they're cooked, but this one, I thought these sounded great, especially with the season we're in. Pumpkin pie overnight oats. So this one, you take a 1/3 cup old-fashioned rolled oats. They go gluten-free if needed. I mean, oats are oats, but when they say gluten-free, they mean not processed in a place that processes things having gluten. That's what they're talking about. But anyway, so you have the old-fashioned rolled oats, a 1/3 cup of pumpkin puree, a 1/3 cup of milk, almond milk or oat milk. I had to adapt this and edit this recipe because a couple of these, they were from obviously people who were totally into everything has to be plant. Do you find that a lot as you're looking at recipes now? They're like, oh, this is healthy. And oh, they always say, use a dairy alternative. Why? I mean, if I can understand if your website, this is from foodnetwork.com. So it's not a website dedicated to people with dairy issues. So you got to see what they're doing to us here. But anyway, so I say a 1/3 cup of dairy milk, almond milk, oat milk, whatever you want. A teaspoon of chia seeds. Another really great fiber food, very nutritious. A 1/2 teaspoon ground cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon ground nutmeg, a teaspoon of pure maple syrup. Toppings, chopped pecans, pure maple syrup, yum. So you place all the ingredients except toppings in a jar or other container with a tightly fitting lid and give them a good stir. Cover and refrigerate overnight or at least 5 hours. In the morning, add additional liquid if you'd like. Once you achieve the desired consistency, add the toppings. Wow, that sounds yummy. And then the next one is apple pie overnight oats. Again, we just read that apples are a great prebiotic food as well. So this one is exactly, you process it the same, but it's got the rolled oats. They said to use coconut yogurt, right? No, I said plain yogurt or coconut yogurt. A 1/3 cup of almond milk, they said. I said milk or almond milk, sorry. I get annoyed when people try to influence me that way. Not that I never try to influence anyone, right? Okay. So anyway, cinnamon, vanilla, maple syrup. Then your toppings are a 1/2 chopped apple, chopped walnuts, pure maple syrup. It doesn't get healthier than that. That is so great. Now, these are prebiotic sources, but they're also what I wanted to get into telling you about, and I'm going to do that now. Good news for carb lovers. Turn potatoes, rice, and pasta into prebiotic foods by cooking, then cooling them. I've talked about this before through the years, but this is pretty good news because, all right, so I'm going to read this here. It might not seem like rice, potatoes, and pasta have many health benefits, but that's because when eaten fresh, their gut helping properties haven't been unleashed yet. Cooling these carbs in the fridge turns them into resistant starches, a special type of dietary fiber with key health benefits. When they're cooled, the starches in these foods are restructured. This is a biochemical process that goes on that does change the structure of the food, completely changing how your body deals with them. So after this restructuring, okay, they're restructured in a process called starch retrogradation. After this restructuring, the now resistant starches become harder to digest. Doesn't mean that you're going to get indigestion, so don't take it that way. Even if they're heated up again, this allows them to get to your large intestine where they can feed the bacteria that are housed there, supporting your gut health. There's a link there you can learn more, but I'm going to tell you that's exciting news. And I had read back maybe last year, a feed from Green Med Info, which I love that resource. But talking about how cooling rice changes the calorie content even. And it's this restructuring. So what you can do is, you know how when you make fried rice, you want to cook your rice ahead of time, refrigerate it, and then you add it and you cook it in the skillet. Well, it's the same thing with potatoes, pasta, or rice. You can cook them, cool them in the refrigerator, and then if you want, you can heat them back up again and use them in foods, in recipes, heated, or eat them heated, but they have been restructured. So they are now resistant starch. Popular resistant starch foods are like potato salad, where the potatoes have been cooked, then cooled. Some people argue, well, that's still high in, I don't care. If you like potatoes and you're going to eat potatoes, potatoes are nutritious food. And if you're not really trying to drop pounds very quickly, that's a great way to get potatoes as a resistant starch. Then if you want, you could, I almost think of, you could actually do a twice baked potato, right? You could bake your potatoes, slice them, put them in the fridge, a good long, overnight or whatever, or, several hours, let them get nice and cold. And then scoop out the things, mix them with whatever it is you like to mix it with, and bake them again. They now have been turned into resistant starch because of the cooling. They have been restructured. That's like such good news. All right. So, yeah, that's really fantastic. So I'm going back to one more of those, the citrus overnight oatmeal, which is a half cup uncooked oats. You can do this with steel cut too. I haven't done it yet because I don't have any rolled oats in my house and I keep forgetting. But you can do it with steel cut oats too. I don't know, they might need a little bit more time, but I've found a bunch of resources that tell you can do that. But the rolled oats probably take less time, only like 5 hours to get. So they're not, steel cut oats are hard. So a half cup of uncooked oats, 3/4 cup orange juice. It'd be great if you could actually squeeze that fresh. A scoop of unsweetened egg white powder, which I've never used before, but I think that that's kind of interesting. Although I honestly think I would use, because if they're trying to get protein there, I might use a little bit of whey. I always have whey fresh from making yogurt. And that has a nice flavor too. You can do these things with yogurt as well. They have you doing milk and almond milk and things like that, but you can use yogurt. Easily interchange that. Salt, a half an orange, and a tablespoon of sliced almonds. And again, you combine the oats anyway. That's really cool. Now, it was so interesting because over the weekend, I received a feed from Carolyn Dean's website. Dr. Carolyn Dean wrote The Magnesium Miracle. And those of you who've been following me, I did 2 programs on magnesium back in the summer. And you can still pick up those programs if you want. If you go to wondrousroots.org podcasts, you just go and you can go down and see where you can find that one. But you'll find the recording of the programs and you'll find the newsletters that go with if you want to go back to those. But she has in her company RNA Reset, she does great magnesium products and things, a product called Flora Revive. So I say in my newsletter, this product is from RNA Reset, Dr. Carolyn Dean's company. She's the author of Magnesium Miracle I talked about back in the summer. I like this product because it contains both prebiotics, probiotics, and includes Sac Bou. That's what they use for their probiotic is Sac Bou. And then it has the things in it that are prebiotic. So to me, that's like a really wonderful, especially if your gut has been compromised, if you are dealing with problems right now, and you're not going to say, well, I'm going to, start eating all these things and making sure I'm getting, I would just say, do a course of this, get this going. And we are carrying it now. So you can see that on our website. Also, though, what I really like for people just having the antibiotics, right? So if say your gut is healthy and you have to be on a course of antibiotics like I did just recently, I like the Sac Bou supplement. I have one by Seeking Health here in the shop, and you can get that on the website. And that is just Sac Bou, and it's only $20 a bottle as opposed to $40 for the Flora Revive. So again, the Flora Revive, I would say, is great for people who want to maintain that, feel that they have challenges, particular challenges, are already in that state. Sure, is it a good thing for every day? Yes, it's a little on the pricey side. But if you need it, that's really dirt cheap, right? If it's going to set things straight, I think that's great. But I love the Sac Bou supplement by Seeking Health, or other Saccharomyces boulardii supplements are fine as well. So we are coming up to the end of the program. I think this is really fun. Food is fun. Probiotic foods, maybe we can just go there for a second. Probiotic foods would be, so again, probiotic foods are different than prebiotic foods. So the probiotic foods actually furnish the bacteria. The prebiotic foods feed the bacteria. Okay, so it's great to have a combination of all of the above. And cultured buttermilk right there. I have buttermilk all the time, and I add buttermilk powder to my whey and make my own instant buttermilk. So kefir, yogurt, cultured buttermilk, fermented milk. Yeah, I like this. Obviously, Very Well Health has not succumbed to the plant-based everything yet. Frozen yogurt, tempeh. Tempeh is a soy product. Actually, I don't love soy, but tempeh and miso, which we're talking about here, tempeh and miso are fermented. And so that goitrogenic phytate that can inhibit the function of the thyroid is broken down. And so it takes care of that. But if you are going to do soy, again, as always, make sure it's non-GMO, because soybeans are one of the, if not the most heavily pesticide, glyphosate crops in this country. But anyway, miso and tempeh, fine, as long as they don't have that stuff. Sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, fermented fish, I think I've ever had, called utonga kupsu. You can see why probably, people in the Asian countries traditionally don't have too much intestinal stuff like we do over here. Miso and tempeh coming from, the Asian countries. Kimchi is native to Korea. Fermented fish, utonga kupsu, I'm sure that's Asian. Cottage cheese, look for brands with probiotics listed on the label. Apple cider vinegar, look for a brand that is unpasteurized and contains the mother, which is the live culture of the fermenting organisms. That stuff that looks like the apple cider vinegar is old, or, not, that looks kind of weird. That's the fermented part. That's the fermentation. That's what you want. Olives, if fermented but not canned. Pickled onions, if fermented but not canned. Pickled beets, if fermented but not canned. Pickled cucumbers, if fermented but not canned. And you can purchase fermented pickles and things like that. So here at the Keene Co-op in Keene, they do have a fermented pickle. Trying to think of the name of that company. It's a popular one for those things. But you can also find these things on Amazon. Just go and look for fermented pickles, and very good and they're great. They're a great source of, so if you just like, a pickle every day with your sandwich or with one of your meals, or these other pickled things, really great. Some foods may have probiotics added to them, even though they're not fermented. So I wouldn't count on cereals with probiotics added, really, but cheeses, probiotic drinks, Um, so anyway, that's that. And that's really all I pretty much wanted to say about this subject. Again, you're listening today. If you're when you're listening to this, it's been pre-recorded. I'm recording this, finishing up this recording as we open up the doors. In fact, um, I hear activity out in the shop. We open at 9:30, and it is 9:30. Next week, I will be back. Next week is going to be what day? The 14th, Saturday, and I'll be back with another program. What am I going to talk about? I can't think that I've planned. It might be papaya. I'm all about papaya. In fact, we're doing a papaya extraction today, and I'm going to be adding it. It's going to be in that formula for the Fig Plus. And what else? Yeah, to pick up any of my other recordings and newsletters, again, go to wondrousroots.org. I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend. It is Columbus Day weekend coming up, and we're actually traveling to visit our daughter, Krista, who's been a guest on my radio program. Many of you are familiar with her. So we're super excited about that. Like to take the train. We take the train, and it's a great way to just relax and look around and travel and see the sights without having to deal with the traffic. So anyway, be well. I want to tell you other things. I'm going to be putting out another, I'm sending out another newsletter about some exciting things we're doing here. We've just added several new candles to our repertoire of Wondrous wicks. We're doing tea lights. We've got them stacked back there, and we're going to be doing sampler boxes that people can get, nice tins. Oh, do I have that here on my desk? No. A tin containing 6, and we'll have different collections, but you'll also be able to choose and mix and match and make your own. So it's fun. We're coming into, you can't help but prepare if you're in business for the holiday season, and it's a good feeling. So anyway, take care. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.